Hello guys, today we have a Honda Civic on the lift. This is a 2011 Honda Civic. It's a two-door, as you can see, two-door. And this car has a bad wheel bearing. All right, and this is a two-door. If you have models from 2007 to 2011 Honda Civic, and you need to replace a rear wheel bearing, and if you have a bearing noise, you can check it out. You can spin it and listen to it. You hear that noise? That's the noise it's making. All right, the faster he goes, the more noise it makes. All right guys, so that's the noise it makes when the car has weight on the floor. When the car is on the floor, the tire has so much weight, it makes a lot more noise. Plus it moves and it makes that kind of noise, that little tapping noise. And also I'm going to show you one last thing. If you look inside, let me bring this camera closer. You're going to see how this affects the brakes. Right? Watch how that brake pad moves when the rotor moves. Alright, so that brake pad moves along with the hub and the rotor, right? So it affects a lot of things. If you keep driving with a bearing that's that severe bad, it'll damage the brakes, it'll destroy the brakes because it's gonna sit in an angle where it's gonna scrape the brakes. But this one looks pretty good. We're gonna leave the brakes alone. So let's get to it. All right, we're gonna remove this tire, we're gonna remove the caliper, the rotor, and then it has ABS sensor. We'll go step by step. All right guys, we're right behind the caliper. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna remove the number 12 here and number 12 there. So what you're gonna need is number 12 socket. You could use a wrench or a ratchet, but I have power tools, so usually what I like to do is make the job a little faster. I'll remove it with the power tools. All right, number 12s are out. Just like I said, keep everything in order. And once you have that out, you can probe this out with the flathead screwdriver. And all you need to do is, I forgot one thing. We're gonna go back to the other side, and there's a bolt back here which needs to be removed, and it's right here. All right, what this does is it holds the caliper from moving around. Let me just see if this looks like a number 12 also. All right, there it is. It's a number 12 also. This is the one right here. We're gonna be removing this ABS sensor cable also, the ABS sensor itself. So there's a number 12, and we have that out. So this brake line becomes loose, and we'll go back here now, back to the caliper side, and let's see if this caliper comes out now. There you go. Right, so all you're gonna do is just gently let it sit there. All right, this brake line in the bottom, the emergency cable, and this brake cable, it's not too much of a load. This is not a heavy caliper. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna remove the brake pads just like that, put them to the side, and now we're gonna remove the number 14s here, and that's gonna let this bracket come off. Let me go get number 14 and I'll be right back. All right guys, right back here we have two number 14s. So you need a ratchet or a wrench, and we're gonna remove both 14s. All right, once we have it loose, you should be able to take it off by hand. There it goes. The 14s are out and the bracket comes off. We're gonna put this to the side and keep the bolts together with it. And next, what we'll do is, you hear that? Now we are able to spin this easier, and it's making a hell of a noise. Alright? Wiring is super duper bad, alright? So what we're gonna do next is, we're gonna remove the 14s here, alright? Let me go get tools for this. I'm gonna use a punch and we're gonna remove that. Alright guys, so to remove this, if you have a punch like this one, you can use this. What this does is, it impacts that. It gives it a good impact to turn that, because they over time get seized up. Same thing with the other screw. Alright, and then you can use this like a screwdriver. All I'm doing is turning this rotor so the bolt can turn, the screw can turn. There it is. That's one. And then here comes the second one. All right. I'll pick that up in a moment. All right, and this rotor should just come right off easily like that. Now you can see the hub assembly. This is the bearing. The hub is part of the bearing. All right, and what we'll do next is we'll take off the ABS cable, the ABS sensor. All right guys, we're gonna come right across here, right here, and we're gonna take off that number 10 bolt of this ABS sensor right here, because this ABS sensor sits inside of that hub. So what you need is number 10. You're gonna, there goes number 10 on the floor. Here it is. That's the number 10. And back here, what you can do, you can squeeze the tab like this one. All you do, you squeeze this and this comes out. And now is the hard part. Sometimes this ABS sensors does not want to come out. All right, this one is moving along pretty good, but it's a little jammed up. All right, it's moving at least, you know. A lot of times it doesn't even want to move. You see that it's moving? So what I'll do is I'll wiggle this around a little bit and it should come out, right? Let me go get a flathead screwdriver and we'll take that out. All right guys, I went and got a flathead screwdriver, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gently push this sensor out. The trick here is you have to get that sensor out of there straight without damaging the cable and the sensor itself. All right, so there it is. All right, the ABS sensor is out, and we'll just let it hang to the side there. All right, what we'll do next is we'll remove the bolt of this little bracket right here. So if you come to the other side, and we can see from back here the number 12, that's right here. We'll take that off. I believe it's a 12. All right, let's see if my little, all right guys, I was trying to make my little impact gun, little drill gun fit back there, but it didn't work. I tried it. So what I got here is number 12, and we're gonna remove that 12, and we should be able to remove this bracket. The reason why I'm moving this bracket is because it's blocking one of the bolts. See this bolt right here? This one right on the opposite, on this end, on the opposite end. And if I remove this, it will give me access to that bolt. It's only blocking it by a little bit. You might be able to manage it without removing this, but making life easy. All right, there it is. This is the little bracket, comes with the number 12 bolt. we'll leave it just like that. We'll put it to the side. And what we'll do next is we're at a point where we are about to take off these 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these bolts has to come off, and we should be able to get that hub bearing out of there. So what I'll do is, let me try my long ratchet here, a wrench here. Let's see. That's one. Just bear with me. I'll take a little bit of our time here. Once they're loose, see if you can get it off by hand. Like this one's pretty loose. I'll just take this off by hand. Whenever you take off these bolts, just make sure you keep them in order. Sometimes one bolt is longer than the other. You don't want to mix that up. Let me see if I can get this one out. Not yet, it's not ready to come out yet. Alright, it's pretty free play with the wrench. There's the second one. Let's look at the 2 bolts we took off. So they're about the same length, alright? Same exact bolt, so we don't need to worry about these 2. I'm sure these are probably all the same, but I'm just saying that because just trying to give some information. Because some hub bearings for Nissans, maybe it might not be the same length, but this one is, so nothing to worry about there. All right. There's another bolt. It's the same size. All right, same thing. All right, so we got one last one left. Where are you? Guys, as I'm doing this, the bearing is coming apart. Let me bring my light over and hang it here. You see that? The last bolt, I'm working on the last bolt. As I'm turning, the bearing itself is coming out. All right, there it is, guys. The bearing is out. And the ABS sensor rides back here. You know, I didn't have to take out the ABS sensor, but I took it apart anyway because sometimes they're sitting inside this bearing, and but this one's not. But just for the safety of it, I took it out. All right, so there's the bearing. The bad bearing is here in my hand. All right, you see that? It has a play in it. So we'll get the new bearing, and before we install the new bearing, just clean this area here where the new bearing is gonna sit. The reason why you want to clean this is because if you don't clean it, the bearing is not gonna sit flush, and it might make the brakes pulsate. It might make a noise. So let's clean all this off. The grease inside here, we'll clean that off, and the new bearing should have its own grease. All right, so all you need to do is just scrape it with a brush, wire brush such as this. All right, I'm not worried about this extra stuff there. And if you need to, you could use a flathead screwdriver and get all this salt. This is salt. Get all this stuff out. All right. And we'll wipe this down pretty good. You don't want dirt, corrosion in there. All right, this is where the seal goes. It sits in there, so make sure the surface is clean for the seal. All right. All right, guys, we're ready to install the new bearing. And I just want to show you one thing. Right back here, this is where the ABS sensor reads. This is like a little magnet, all right? You can't see it, but it works like a little magnet, all right? So what we're gonna do next is, as you can see, this, you see this little slot here? It's more like a straight here, but it's curved here. And as you can see, this bearing right here, it's curved here. I'm sorry, it's like round here, and it's more of a straight right here, flat surface. So we're gonna put the flat surface facing here, right? But before I do that, let me get some grease. I'll put a little bit of grease here, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So just take a little bit of grease with the brush. All right, so the bearing can sit flush, not too much. You don't want to go crazy either. Put a little bit on the surface here. All right, that should be enough. And what we'll do next is same thing. All right, we're gonna reverse the procedure. I have one of my bolts back there. You see that one sticking out? So again, this flat area goes there. So all you do is you line this, and at the same time, you're gonna try to catch the threads of that one bolt that you have in there. All right, there you go. I had the bearing in. As you can see, the bearing is in there. All right, pretty good. And I'll bring my camera and light over to this side next, and we'll install the rest of the bolts that goes back here. So simply you take your bolts and we're gonna put them all in there, right? Now we might not be able to reach to the last bolt from this side with my wrench, but we'll grab it from the other side because it's gonna hit over here. And again, all 4 bolts, even though I said just make sure they're same, these are same, so we're good there. There you go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten this, but the way we're gonna tighten it is we're gonna tighten this one, and then these two, we're gonna cross them so the bearing can go in flush, all right? So what I'll do is I'll tighten that last one first. Right, just making it flush. Flush meaning I'm letting this grab the bearing and pull it together evenly, right? You don't want to tighten one side and the bearing sits crooked because one side is all the way in and the other one can't go in. So I'm gonna work on both of these bolts that I just worked on, this one and one on the opposite end on the top. All right, I got that in, and I'll snug the other bolt a little bit more. And then I'll do the other 2. And after that, I can tighten these. These, you can torque these bolts. These bolts are about like 37 foot-pound. If you need to know, let me know. Usually, I torque them later on. and usually it's off the camera. Alright guys, I got all these snugged in. What I'll do is I'll come right back and I'm gonna torque these, alright? Alright guys, we're back. These are nice and tight. The bearing is installed and torqued. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna install this little bracket here. This bracket goes right back here and it has a little notch that goes into the notch there. So all you do is you take this, you put this in, and you grab the threads. Make sure the notch is in there because that notch helps it align and stand still with strength. What I'll do next is I'll take my number 12 and we'll tighten that. Alright, we have that in. What we'll do next is we're gonna go across to the other side and we're gonna install the ABS sensor where it belongs. Right? So the ABS sensor goes in here and the little clip goes there, and the number 10 for the ABS sensor is gonna go right here. And I'll get my number 10 socket and I'll tighten that. That's it. Alright, just make sure the ABS sensor is flush. We have that in, and now we'll come back out and we're gonna put the rotor in. Alright guys, now it's turn for the rotor to go in. So what we'll do is, again, this is the rotor. The rotor has 2 screws, which one is gonna be there, one is gonna be there. Make sure you line it. Right, and we're gonna take our 2 Phillips head screws. We're gonna put those in. These you just hand tighten them. You don't have to tighten them with too much of a force, but make sure you get this rotor even. All right, just like that. So this is pretty much done. See that? Nice and smooth already. And we're gonna go back here next. I'll bring my light over so we can see better. The next step is we're gonna put the bracket in with the 214s. So you simply take the 214s, get them by hand as much as you can, evenly. Make sure these 2 little washers are in there. And after that, we can tighten these 2 bolts. Nice and tight. Same thing with the other one. Let me move my camera over a little bit because I don't want to hit the camera. Right there's good. Alright guys, if you guys have Honda Civic 2008, 7 to 11, same procedure. Even if you have drum brakes, it's gonna be the same type of bearing. Alright. Some of the other Honda, same procedure. Alright. Next, what we'll do is we'll put the brake pads in. All right, we're gonna install the same way we took out. There you go. And we're gonna take this caliper. We'll put the caliper in next. The caliper goes in by these two 12 bolts, 12 millimeter bolts. Tighten these two. Sometimes this inner bolt wants to spin with it, so just hold on to it. Make sure these are nice and tight. You don't want to leave the brakes loose. Nice and tight. And we're done here. Double check the bolts. And we'll come across now. One last thing. Don't forget the little bolt that goes back here on this cable right here. This is also number 12. There you go guys, we're done. All right, and after this you can spin the bearing, take the car for a drive. There should be no ABS light on, and you're done. And that's how you replace a bearing on a Honda Civic. And please subscribe, and if you guys need help, if you have questions, you can ask me anything. Doesn't have to be regarding this repair, any other repair, but I do need you to subscribe my channel and share with your friends. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.